How's it going? It is the Absolutely Live interview. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I've got a good show. We have drummer and percussionist Dennis Morehouse on the show. And I'm excited to talk to Dennis. My friend Alex Calise, who, excuse me, I interviewed like early on when I had my show. This is her other musician that's with her in Batfarm, and he plays the drums, and he's really, really awesome. So I asked her a while ago, I would love to have Dennis on my show, and she was really, really enthusiastic. So she said, yeah, no problem, I'll let him know. And so she did that, Alex did that, and then I contacted Dennis, and he was kind enough to say, yeah, I would love to be on the show. So I'm excited to talk to Dennis tonight. He's a guy who's got a whole bunch of different experiences in his musical career, and I'm going to go ahead and see if he's available right now, and then we'll get Dennis on the show. Hope everyone's having a good night, and I'm happy that you guys. I just sent him a request, or he sent me a request actually. So
I'm on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Mr. Morehouse.
I can hear you.
You're on.
I put in my earpiece. I was
Can you
hoping
hear
that
me?
would work out better, but we'll see.
Excellent. How's it going, man?
I think it's working all right. We'll see how this works out.
Is it working okay?
We'll start with this and go from there. I'm doing great.
All right. Cool. Yeah, man. How you doing?
Good. We actually.
Awesome.
So it's funny.
How'd your studio
music. We're
session
working
go?
on this TV show that a friend of mine's trying to pitch. So it's going to be with like puppets and kind
Oh,
of
that's cool.
like more of Adult Swim kind of thing. So we were taking photos of some of the clay things that he made in order to get an idea of the show. So I'm doing like the Photoshop work for it and taking the photography. So I dabble into Photoshop.
Awesome. Are you big with Photoshop? Are you like really well versed in
nowadays as a
it?
musician, you kind of have to learn everything.
Cool.
So I'm learning how to edit music, how to edit film, how to edit, do Photoshop, a little bit of everything. So
cool. Awesome, man.
This is awesome.
So I wanted to, well, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm excited to have you here, man. When I talked to Alex a while ago, she was like, you should have Dennis on. And I was like, I would love to have Dennis on. So I'm excited that you're on.
Cancel that interview, but here we are now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can't. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, just this, I ran into one of those, things that happened, and
I'm actually getting busy again.
I was like, I definitely want to do it again. So.
Back then, it was like the pandemic, and we're just like,
good.
Well, yeah, we should write a whole bunch of music during the pandemic. And then I was like, well, I'm not motivated. Where's the ideas coming, So I just spent time during the pandemic just trying to build my studio up, get some new microphones, get, some preamps, and so I can track drums here at my house or at my studio and stuff. So
cool. Do you have a lot of
not necessarily
people coming to you for work or what?
That direction. That's kind of why I got all the gear. But I've been trying to focus mostly on my own original music, with Alex, and I have another project I'm working on right now. So
cool. Awesome. So I want to, I always ask people that are on the show, if you can kind of go through your musical journey with me, back from when you first started and when you first had the idea of, okay, I want to be a musician, and what was kind of the thing that for you kind of changed your trajectory in life,
when I started
to determine I want to be a musician.
Wanting to be a musician, it's because I started playing when I was 5 years old. My uncle was a drummer, and my mom's brother was a drummer, and he used to jam with bands at our house when I was an infant. So when I got older enough to, it's like he used to practice. It was funny because he used to be in a band.
I want to know that. I want to know all that.
I used to be in Akron, so he used to be in cover bands and doing the Who and all these bands. And
cool.
It was funny. My mom said that when I came home from the hospital, they used to practice, and I slept like a baby, of course. But and then when they stopped practicing there, I couldn't sleep. So to this day, I need noise in order to sleep. But I eventually kind of snuck downstairs and started hitting the drums. And then, my dad's brother played drums too, so he pulled his drum set out of his father's attic, and I had a drum kit when I was really, really young. So that got me going on it. And then I got the bug, and, you know, no 10-step programs have been able to get me out of it. So
Yeah, right. Wow. So like when you first started playing and you were like, okay, I want to do this, what did you do to like become proficient at it? And like, were you working on it all the time, like day and night? Like, because I know a lot of guys who do
kid,
that. Like they're just totally focused on
I was practicing
that.
2-3 hours a day, if not more. You know, in the summers, I was driving the neighbors crazy, everyone crazy. My sisters, hands off to them for dealing with me practicing all, because I didn't have a soundproof room. I was just putting up the stereo and just cranking music, and I played constantly, like, you know, up until my 20s, where I started writing more music. So I was playing other instruments and then playing drums, you know. So, but yeah, constantly, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really good. Drums was the thing for you? Like, did you ever have anything else in mind? Like you wanted to play guitar?
When I first started, it was just
bass or
drums,
anything like that?
drums. So, you know, I was like into bands like Rush and all this kind of crazy drumming. And then as life went on, I kind of got into like funk drumming and grooves and pockets and singer-songwriters. And I was like, you know, it'd be cool to play acoustic guitar. You know, I could play some of that stuff, you know, and the bass is like, they're married. Like the drums and the bass, it's like another percussive instrument, you know. So I kind of started gravitating towards the bass, and I've loved it. I love it. I just, you know.
When you were kind of carving out your path to go in on drums, like who were some of your major influences, and then where did you wind up? You know, in the beginning, and then in the middle of your career, and then now, like where did you? How did you get there? First of all, like who'd you listen to? Like, did you listen to,
but you know,
like you were mentioning Rush, you listen to Neil Peart,
I've never been someone who dug into a
guys like that.
Drummer. I kind of listened to bands. So I used to like literally just put on the radio when I was a kid and just play the songs. And later on, I learned that, you know, this was a Zeppelin song and this was a Tom Petty song and whatever. But I would just play whatever was popular at the time, and that's kind of how I got into loving music and rounded it out, you know. Of course, as a little kid, I was a big Peter Criss fan. You know, I was a big into Rush. You know, I mean, I'm old, so.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm not in spirit.
You're probably as old as I am, man.
Musician keeps
I just
me
turned
really
50,
young.
so.
And, you know, at heart, we're all Peter Pan, you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Right, exactly.
Age, we don't
especially
feel like we're getting any
musicians,
older. You know,
all
there's a few wrinkles here and there, but we still keep the spirit. Keeps me alive. So yeah, so I started into all of that, and then I started getting into all this progressive music, and like trying to just like, oh, I want to be the baddest drummer ever, you know. And then I joined this band of some friends of mine I met, and they wanted me to do this. We did this punk rock band, but it was punk rock versions of like Neil Diamond and you know, all these like Helen Reddy, like all this like fun pop, and then we just turned it into these songs. And they're like, you only get 2 drums, because I used to have the double bass, the, you know, all the toms across, you know, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, you know, the Neil Peart kit. And they're like, nope, you get a snare, kick, and a hi-hat and a cymbal. And it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because it made me kind of eliminate, you know, those things and really dig into the groove and the pocket, and just, you know, and that made me kind of fall in love with different styles. Like, I never wanted to I wanted to learn these different styles, but make them my own, you know. So that's kind of where I went from. I went from all these drums, playing all this progressive music, to this punk rock, and then somewhere in the middle, I kind of fell into funk and, you know, like groove and pocket, which is kind of what I did as a kid, if you think about it.
Wow.
You know, like you know, when you're doing Zeppelin and stuff like that. I mean, he's a king of the pocket, you know, just, you know, and I got more inspired by that, like laying down a groove that makes people to kind of just go, you know, more than playing the fastest lick I can on the planet, you know. So.
Yeah, no doubt. When you were in like your first couple of bands, like, were you able to really kind of express how you're feeling regarding that, like with
Oh no,
being in the pocket and stuff? Were you able to do that kind of stuff,
they
or
let me
like
loose,
were you
and a
being
lot of times I was kind of
back, or you
collaborating
just
with whatever
really they
band I
let you
was in
loose
a
and
little
let you
bit.
do what
You
you
know, a
want?
lot of times I joined a band and kind of start having a little bit of input. Like before I could play the
Yeah.
instruments, I was kind of helping with arrangements and just kind of we collaborate a little bit in that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to let loose in some bands, and other bands I kind of
Yeah.
I was about song and kind of learning how to propel a song and not propel my ego. You know, which is
Yeah.
mm,
Very- No, like you were saying, like in the pocket, like when you're in the pocket, that's what you do. And I mean, I'm sure you could agree. What you're doing is you're just making sure that the song is
yeah,
moving
totally. I mean,
along
if you can
where
have a
it needs to
chance, if
go,
you in
rather
some
than
part of
being
the
the
song you get
focus
to
of
throw in
everything.
fill, and it's like everyone's go what, instead of like just constantly, I guess musical masturbation, what I would call it, that
Yeah.
happens a lot. Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right. Right. It's funny when I listen to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I listen to
Yeah,
you, oh, you got
down there.
kisses from Argentina right there. Somebody's from Argentina is watching you. When I
Uh-huh.
listen to you guys, like when I say you guys, when I listen to Batfarm stuff, it's really, there's a lot. Now that you say that,
Yeah,
it is really a lot of in the pocket kind of stuff. It's really kind of grooving, and it's not
yeah.
overtaking anything. The drums are not the primary focus, which is perfect. I mean, and that's like as a person in a band,
Mhm.
like as a guitar player or
Yeah,
a bass player or the singer or whatever,
yeah,
you don't want that. Like you don't want somebody to be the focus as the drummer
of course.
all the time.
Well, I mean,
You know
in
what I mean?
Bat
You do
Farm,
want you
not
do
people
want
don't
that
realize,
groove. You
but
do
I'm
want
not
that
even the
pocket to be
music.
laid down.
Like what
Yeah.
you're hearing, I play the bass, I write the bass parts, a lot of the guitar parts.
Uh-huh.
So on all those records that you're listening to, like the bass parts I played, and
Wow.
I
Okay.
I, I put them against the drum parts, and the guitars, all the ambient guitars, the pianos. I'm playing a lot of that on the
Yeah.
record. So yeah, so like, and then a lot of times I'll write something and compose
Wow.
something, and then
Oh,
Alex,
that's
I'll send it
awesome.
to Alex, and she'll listen to it and see what she's inspired by, and she'll write the lyrics, and then sometimes we'll change, the music a little bit with her suggestions, and I'll change a little bit of the melody with my suggestions, and we meet kind of in the middle. And then other times she'll write a song which is on acoustic, and then I'll produce it up, just like add the
Yeah.
bass and the guitar, like Get Out, for instance. She sent
Wow.
me an acoustic version of that song, and then it turned out to be what
Yeah.
it was. So I got a bass line and all that,
Cool.
so,
Mm-hmm.
oh, thanks. But yeah,
Yeah.
but what's that?
That's a great song too. I love
Oh,
that
no, I'm
song.
just saying, so
Yeah.
this
No
is
problem.
kind of fun because I get
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
really
Go
like
ahead. Go
lay a
ahead. I'm
drum
sorry.
groove and then write a bass line that I feel like really lays into that groove, and it's kind of inspired one, and then just build it up. I'm not a great
Yeah.
guitar player, so
Yeah. For sure.
I have Alex retrack all the guitars, except for the
Yeah.
weird stuff. All the weird stuff I keep. I play all those like ambient sounds and
Yeah.
stuff you might think is a keyboard, but it's just me running through effects because I'm not a great guitar player. So that's my. so it just kind of it dictated my style of
That's
playing, was
okay.
that
No
how do
problem.
I make this work without spending 20 hours a day trying to become a badass guitar player too. So. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh
But it
yeah.
lends itself well. It really does to the
Hmm.
sound that you guys are going for, and it's really not. It's good. It winds up being whole. And it's really it's there's actually like I've been listening to a lot of like before my shows. I
Uh-huh.
always listen to the band that I'm gonna if I'm gonna talk to a band
Yeah, yeah.
member, I always listen to that band. And I mean I've listened to Batfarm a bunch of times, but I really kind of tried to focus
Oh,
on
okay.
Batfarm and because I don't really have anything else of yours, I don't think. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so I listened to Batfarm a lot just very recently, and that I noticed it's very it is very in the
Yeah.
pocket. It's not it's very like I think you call it darkadelic. Is that what it is? Yeah, well, that's a perfect. It's
that's my
perfect. That's a
flow.
perfect word for it. I
That's
don't know
me.
who
It's
came
like
up
because
with
that's
it,
how
but it's a
I
perfect
feel
word
like when
for
I
it
write music. So I'm a big
because it
Pink
really
Floyd
is.
fan, but I also like Nine Inch Nails, and I like all this kind of.
Yeah,
I try, like sometimes I'll write something
yeah,
and I'll show it to Alex and I'll be like, "Oh, this is too poppy," and she'll be like, "What are you talking about? This is super dark." And I'm like, "Oh, it feels a little poppy to me," and then she'll write a cool little
yeah,
melody over top of it, and
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like you guys really work well together like that. It's like you produce these songs and these albums that are really groovy like that. Like they're I mean, I would suggest if anyone whoever's watching or whatever, if you haven't heard um, Batfarm to definitely listen to Batfarm. All their stuff is on iTunes. In fact, you guys are on iTunes as Batfarm, but that's also the previous name of the band, which
Yeah.
was Sound of Cancer. And we know, I don't know if anybody knows the reason why you chose that. I do, because I, read about it. But
what we did is
it's under Sound
after
of
a
Cancer
10-year
and also
anniversary
Batfarm.
of that record, we released it under Batfarm. So you can find the same record under the Batfarm. Yeah. So you don't have to go looking at Sound of Cancer to find it.
Oh,
and Sound of Cancer, for anyone who's curious, it was our astrological sign. So I'm a Cancer and Alex is a Cancer, and our birthdays were just like 3 days apart, 4 days apart. So we're just like, oh, well, this is what Cancers sound like, I guess. And then people thought we were a metal band or a dark metal band or something. We got all this stuff, and I was like, oh, man, come on.
No, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how could you say that? Oh, it's like, okay, that wasn't even the thought.
He was going to start a band, and a good friend of mine, and had some production ideas and some of our stuff. And his name's Eric Klein, and he actually was one of the designers at Line 6 that did the Helix. I don't know if you've heard of the Helix, but he's one of the main designers. But
oh, cool.
I was like, this would be a perfect name for our band, because it's kind of dark, like a bat, but then farm, like kind of silly. That's kind of how we are. Like, as people, we're kind of zany, a little bit. Yeah. But we still write like these music that's kind of
like
a little
goofball
dark too. So
that's right.
I thought it just kind of fit the band a little better, So
well, thank you. Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good stuff. It's moody and it's dark, but not too dark. It's
so
good.
depressing that
it's a good
lay in a
good
bathtub
mix.
and cut your wrist or something. But what it does do is like Alex's lyrics, which is great.
No.
She kind of will tap into depression and things like that, but yet there's a little more resolution. It's not like doom and gloom. It just kind of presents it so you can kind of feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Or like I felt like this before, but not like such a way that oh, there's no way out. You know what I mean? So
right, exactly. And she's been writing lyrics like that for a while. I remember her from back in, I think it was called, what was the first band? Oh, God, Wake State. I think it was called Wake State. But she's been writing lyrics like that forever. I mean, that was...
So...
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Do you have any other, I think in your thing that you put on Instagram, you said that future projects. So what kind of things are you working on right now? So I'm excited to hear it.
And it was kind of like a Deftonesy kind of band. And me and the lead singer just kind of hit it off. Like we had all that, it was so cool. We were just like both kind of, I don't know.
Awesome.
Unhinged in some ways, not like not in a negative kind of way, but just me and him were both like that kind of like, I don't know I can't even put it into words. So kind of torn, made from the same cloth.
Yeah.
So, we had that band. The band kind of broke up, and I went off touring, which we'll talk about later. I got the gig with Mark Ford, and from there I was just kind of gone for a while. And then he went back to Florida. He was on a cooking show that was on TV, and then he ended up getting his own a restaurant thing that he put together in Florida for a long time. And then he's like, I want to act again. And his name's Jared Massey, and he moved back out here. And we reconnected, and I was like, let's make some music, And it's kind of more electronic in some ways. I'm using a lot more like some loops, even though I'm a drummer. I'm using some loops. So it's kind of, 9 Inch Nails meets Floyd meets. I mean, kind of like what we're doing, but it's a whole different direction. It feels it has some of that Deftonesy kind of thing to it and stuff. And that band's called Last Knife, almost like instead of Last Night or whatever. It's kind of a play, it's still kind of playful because he's just like me too. He's a goofball, so it'll have a little bit of a sense of humor to it, but at the same time, kind of a little heavier and stuff, But we're like I don't know. We got about like 7, 8 songs, 10 songs ready to in the can that we're kind of just finishing up. So that should hopefully be
very nice.
Yeah, I'm producing. Doing it all here right now.
Good. Are you producing everything, or are you going somewhere else?
So, it's a whole nother skill. Mixing and mastering, that's a whole nother ball of wax,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't touch anything. That's
Yeah,
that
yeah, totally.
like
So
that.
John
Ugh,
Horn
no.
came in. Hello, how you doing?
Leave that up to the
Um,
professionals.
so,
The
but
hippie
yeah, so I just,
blonde.
you know, I can create all the music, and now I can track all my own drums. Now I have to go to a studio because that's what we used to do. We'd produce everything here, and then we'd go back and re-record it. Like we'd go, oh, we go into the studio, and we'd keep some of the background
Yeah,
vocals. We'd keep, you know, the piano parts and a lot of the like ambient guitars, but I'd redo the drums and I'd redo. But now we can do it all here. I got some good preamps, and so now I just need a
yeah.
good mixing guy, which I have. I have a good guy in San Jose that I'm going to
That's
start dealing with,
awesome.
who I worked with him
Yeah,
years ago. Gosh, I don't want to get off on too many
awesome.
tangents, but yeah, this guy named Jerry Ozowski, and
Uh-huh.
he just mixed the last Smash Mouth song that just came out. So he's me and him back in the day. I used to
Cool.
have a house and we had a studio in
That's
the living
awesome.
room. It was a big, and he used to work in there and bring in clients and help record me as a
Yeah.
favor, you know.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Cool, man.
I
You had
did.
mentioned before
Yeah.
that you worked with Mark
Oh,
Ford for a bit.
he's so good.
How was that? I mean,
It
Mark Ford's a
was a
tremendous guitar
blast.
player. He really
The guy,
is.
I used to work with this guy.
What was that like?
Or I knew him. He actually produced a song or engineered a song that I was doing with that band, Dare Damien. And he's like, I'll find a gig for you, you know. So he called me up. He's like, yeah, Mark Ford's going on a solo tour and we need a drummer. He's like, we've auditioned like 10 drummers or 11 drummers and he doesn't like
Awesome.
any of them. Why don't you
Wow.
come in and give it a shot, you know? He said, he might want you to cut your dreads though. He didn't. He didn't. So I got in there,
Oh,
I did the thing. He's like, yeah, you got the gig. So,
were you like, no?
like our first
Okay.
gig was, I think we went over to Europe. I mean, it was like a Europe tour.
Nice.
So we toured over in Europe for a little while. I was with him for like a year and a half
Awesome.
and we toured all over,
Cool.
you know, this, yeah,
Nice.
pretty much. It was like we'd go off for
You were
like
touring
3 weeks. We'd come
the
home,
entire time?
maybe home for another week or so, and then we'd
Cool.
go back out, and it was fun. I mean, we even went to Russia. I get to go play in Russia. That was a
Uh-huh.
blast. Some big blues festival.
Wow.
So
That's crazy, man. I've heard that the crowds out there,
oh,
like
they
out in
were
Europe, are
huge
amazing.
fans
They're like
of, especially
total
Mark Ford,
music
because
fanatics
especially
out
in
there.
Spain and stuff like that, they were huge rock and
Yeah.
roll fans, and they were so into it. And it's so fun. And we played some festivals, you know,
Really?
like the first. I
That's
remember
so
the
great.
first festival I played. It was like we pull up, and then I didn't see the crowd or anything, and then we're backstage, and then they're like, "Okay, you guys ready to play?" We just walk up, and it's like, "Oh, there's 20, 30,000 people out there, you know," and the whole festival had like 100,000 over the day, but it was like, "All right, let's just do it,"
Awesome.
you know. And it's actually easier to play to the bigger crowds because you're not
Yeah.
looking, you're just like looking at the sea
Yeah.
of people, and you're just
That's
digging into that
crazy.
moment, you know. So.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was right
Absolutely.
afterwards. So the bass
Also,
player
Gilby
used to
Clark
play
you
with
played with
Gilby,
as well,
the
right?
guy who got me the gig with Mark
Wow.
Ford. And so when Mark Ford ended, Gilby was getting ready to go to New
Yeah.
Zealand, and the drummer he usually had couldn't do it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that gig. And so I sat in, and
Yeah.
he liked my playing. And then he's like, oh, what are you doing next month? We're going to Canada. Can you do that too? And I was like, yeah. And then so we did. So my first tour was Canada, and then I came back, and then we did New Zealand for some
Cool.
just cool guitar festivals. Like, there was like Vernon Reid was
No
there,
way.
the guy from Testament, Alex Skolnick, was
Nice.
there doing his trio though. He does his jazz trio, which is phenomenal. Those guys are awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, there's
Wow.
just a lot of great players
Wow.
that was on that gig. So that was a lot of fun. And then we just toured off and on. Like we did a lot of one-offs, and then we
Cool.
did South America, which
Awesome.
that's why we'll probably have some fans from South
Yeah.
America. So, and those are the biggest shows because Guns N' Roses
Yeah.
was huge down there.
That's
So
great.
when we played, it was, lines down the
Oh,
street.
yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
they were so sweet. The people in South America were just so welcoming and so nice. And it's like a soccer game. They sing out loud the guitar parts, like almost louder than the band, So just like nonstop.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
much fun.
Wow.
Rock
That's
and Rio.
awesome, man. They had the big
How about Rock and
festival down there. What was it called? Where they had Kitty was
Oh,
it?
did Not Fest come down
No,
there?
not that
Gone
one.
to South
Just
America?
very recently. Was it Not Fest or something?
Oh, okay.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Not Fest just very recently, like within the last couple of weeks. And it was like Slipknot and Kitty
God.
reformed
That's what I
and
just
went
heard
down
about.
there. Like a
Yeah,
whole
my
bunch
friend
of
was
bands.
showing
Mr.
me a
Bungle's
video
there.
because Mike Patton,
It's
it's the first show
crazy.
he's played in like 2
Yep.
years. So
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And the guys Sepultura are
Oh
there,
God.
and of course Scott Ian's there. It's like it's just some crazy
Oh, I
festival
know.
going on.
Oh God, I love
Wish I
Mr.
was.
Bungle.
I
I
wish I
used
was
to live in
there,
San Francisco, and I
broadcasting from
remember
there.
they were
That'd be
playing
pretty
like on
cool.
New Year's Eve one time, and I was just like, "This is insane." It's such a oh, you have?
Wild, man. Yeah, I've seen it a
Oh
bunch of
God.
times. Wild shit. Oh yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times. Yeah, I'm a huge Bungle fan. Yeah. Um, Tell me about this. I was reading on your website about you had some. Was it some
Oh God.
music that you had
Yeah, yeah.
put in
That
on
was
MTV's
that was
Real
a
World
long
and
time
stuff?
ago.
Is that
I was in this
that's
band called
a
Brain Pudding,
while ago?
and we were and and we were like, all the songs were
Oh,
really,
that's
really
cool.
silly, but they
I
were
love
really
that name.
progressive. So it was like, kind of like if let me think of gosh, what's that band? Adrian Blue is in it. King Crimson, kind of like King Crimson-y, but still just kind of wacky, weird. The guitar player was a big fan of Zappa,
Mm.
and but the lyrics were kind of weird, childish stuff. So we had
Oh yeah,
the girl I was seeing at the time was working for the Real
yeah.
World, and her friend was the director. So they were able to kind of sneak some of our music and do some of the stuff. Yeah, so we go on these little tours. We did some U.S.
That's
tours with
crazy.
that band that we just
That's
booked
so funny.
ourselves, and it was, we'd be like, as heard on MTV, but you're just like, they only hear like 30 seconds of like a beginning of a song or something like that. They're like, what?
Right, right. Do you guys do you guys in
Yeah,
Batfarm, do you put
we've
any
had some
of your
stuff on.
music? Like, do you sell any
Yeah,
music to commercials or
yeah, we've had
any
a couple
shows or
things
anything
like
like
in
that?
Dance
Because I
Moms.
know
We've had
Alex
some
is big on
things like
that
a different,
with her solo stuff.
I don't know exactly what. Sometimes you just find out when you get the sheet. Like, oh, they put it on this little show off the side here. And
Yeah,
and I've had other bands that have done that. I was in this band called
yeah.
777, and we had some stuff in like, Eight-Legged Freaks, and a couple other different stuff like that. But we had the same management as Smash Mouth, so
Mhm.
it helped.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So you like submit it. I'm not really familiar with it 100%. I think I asked Alex how she does it, but I guess it's the same. The whole everybody the way they
yeah,
do it.
kind of.
But
I mean, it
you just
depends on who
submit
you're
some
working with.
music and
Like,
then
if you're working with
hey,
the
it's
good
like
publishing
luck of the draw
companies,
pretty much.
they'll do it. And I've been in a couple situations like that where I was in a band that's what
Yeah.
happened, like at that 777, in San Jose. But a lot of times it's
Yeah.
mostly licensing agencies that you kind of send your stuff in, and it ends up in this C. And you have to break it down to the metadata. Like, you have to break it. Oh, it sounds a little bit like this band and that band, and it has this subject matter. And so what happens is some guy working for a show who
Oh,
does music
yeah.
will type in, I need a song that talks about Christmas and sounds like da da da, and then these songs will pop up. And if your song ends up being at the
Mm,
top, because we had a
uh,
song called Dark Carnival on our first record,
oh,
and it's like it just sounds anything like our record, but it was kind of fun.
yeah. Yep.
And Dance Moms, yeah,
Yeah. That's kind of
yeah, it was
wacky
so weird.
that
And
song, right? It's
yeah,
like
super
it's like
dark, and it was like
vocally, it's
weird,
really
just like
crazy.
haunting, because we
A lot of
originally wrote it
effects and everything. It's
as a
really nuts.
licensing song. I mean,
Hmm.
Sound of Cancer
Yeah.
started off as a licensing music. We just started like, let's write some music for licensing, and then it ended up sounding cohesive. Like, it sounded like a band, so we're like, let's make it a band. It's a band.
Yeah.
But how
Yeah.
that song got on, someone was
You're
like,
like,
I'm
okay.
looking for a Dark Carnival song,
Yeah.
and Dark Carnival popped up, And so I was just like, all right,
Wow.
interesting.
Get out of here. That's crazy. Huh.
Uh-huh.
That's a wacky song. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, well, and like
It
sound,
was my
it
first
sounds
time I
like
ever screamed on a song,
it's really
like,
dark.
oh my
Yeah.
God,
It sounds dark. Really. It's a
I
good
thought
song
we
though.
thought it was like a
Oh
good
yeah. I mean,
intro.
if you're into
I
that
think we
kind of
played it once or
music,
twice
yeah,
live, but
it's really good.
mostly it's just for the record. So
Yeah. So how do I'm glad that you said something about live, because like when you guys play live, that must be so interesting because it's just the two of you there. And I just wonder
we do,
how, I mean,
actually,
do you
because
have any backing tracks or anything like that? Or
it
it's
took
just you
a
guys go
long
out
time to
there
play
and
live because
jam?
I'm kind of old school. So I grew up even in the industrial bands I was in the '90s. I was in some industrial bands and that were doing well, and they would run tracks, but they still had two guitar players, they still had a bass player, they still had the whole group up there and the lead singer,
Yeah.
and they just had drum
Yeah.
loops and sounds, and for us it's
Yeah.
like we can't do that. So, and I was like, okay, and then I started seeing, people go see
No.
DJs, like, someone just pressing a button. So I was like, well, as long as
I
I thought to myself, as
know
long
it,
as we
man.
don't pretend to do something it's on the tracks, and we just give our live show and unapologetically play the tracks. You know what I mean? Like Alex doesn't walk up and pretend to sing. Whatever she's singing is from the heart, you know, and whatever I'm playing is from the heart, and how she's playing. So what we did was we just kind of took our record and we just pulled our parts out, and we, you know, but I do it in stems, so the sound guy can do a better mixing job. So I send a track of just the bass guitar, and then I send a track of the guitars, the additional guitars that Alex isn't playing, and then in the background, so they can mix it like a band on stage. Yeah. So we can sound fuller and bigger. It's not like I send them 2 tracks and they have to just deal with it. They can go, oh, here's the backup singers. I'll EQ them like this, and a lot of people go, you guys are such a big sound for 2 people. And I'm like, I got tracks. And I'm like, oh, no, but it sounds so big. And I'm like, all right. You know, but I think it helps because we played everything organically in the studio. It's not like we're playing to loops. We're playing to real musicians ourselves. We're playing with ourselves on stage. Right. So it sounds more like a band, so people don't think of it as, oh, it's a digital band, you know? So the loops.
Now, when you recorded those tracks and put them
on that record,
you were saying that was you playing the bass and stuff?
Plays bass better than me, and I was like, "Here's the parts, play them better," you know. And so he played my bass lines, but he added that thing. You know? All right. I had a friend of mine, this guy named Keith Brinkley, came in, and he's such a badass bass player. But I played with him for years. We used to play in cover bands together too. I did that thing too, and. But he like he was one of those guys that I played with that kind of knew where I was going before I, you know, it's like we were together. Like his my kick drum and his bass playing were always one thing. You know, he's like my brother. So when I brought him in, he just did it. You know, he just knocked it out. I was like, thank you. You made me sound like made my parts sound like a real bass player. You know. But I played a couple songs. Like I played on Snake. I played bass on Snake, and
that's
like
so
the
awesome.
Actual bass. So. And then the first record, I played most of the bass on it and most of the guitars. So.
Cool. What do you, if you were to select like a song or an album from Batfarm?
Oh God.
What one would you say is you're the most proud of?
Yet. We're working on something really good that I like. Yeah, it's because I think that what we're doing right now kind of brought Alex's live singing into the studio, like, you know, because a lot of times when we're singing, she's an amazing singer, and I'll never take that away. Okay. But when we're live, there's something else that comes out of her that's just like it's amazing. It's just like this heart. Yeah. So well, you know how it is when you're playing studio and you're playing live. It's sometimes you're just going for it, and it's not maybe the note or whatever, but she's now pulling that into she's been doing a lot of sessions. So now that we're doing our stuff, it's like I'm excited. I can't wait till it comes out, because she's a little like we're kind of like pushing the limits with it a little bit more, you know. But I love the first record. It's got that kind of
good. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it.
And a lot of, you know what I mean? The second record, the one that we just put out in the Belfry a couple of years ago, I mean, I love the energy, and it's a little more upbeat and stuff. But there's something special I liked about the first record. It kind of, you know, it's No Vampires in Gilroy, which we came up with driving through Gilroy. I was calling all the garlic, and I'm like, I bet you there's no vampires that live here. And Alex is like, you're right. That's the name of our new record, No Vampires in Gilroy. So it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
The garlic apple. I mean, it's all the garlic.
That's so funny.
If you look at your garlic thing, you'll look
at it and
say from Gilroy, California. So it's all it's grown out in Gilroy. Wow. So that's why we're like.
Wow, man! I learned a lot of stuff so far today.
It kind of brought, and I think what's happened is now the new thing we're doing is kind of combining what we did with the second record, which was a little more mature, and what happened with the first record, and kind of bringing it all together and putting it together with what we're doing now. So,
yeah. If you could like jam with some of your favorite or musicians like ever, who would you jam with? Like who would you, if you could be in a band with like musicians that you idolize or whatever, who would be who would
Well,
be the
such a tough
musicians that
call
you would
because
choose
over the
if
years,
you had your
I've played with
way?
so many great musicians, that aren't famous,
So many of them.
Like that friend Keith Brinkley, who he's so badass,
Yeah,
but never got
yeah,
famous, but
right.
has done his fair share. And it's like I play with some of those kind
Yeah,
of people, so I haven't like felt like I'm missing out on some players in some ways, like there's so many amazing players I've come across in my
yeah,
years that I can't even name them that would probably wipe the
yeah.
floor with some of the people that are famous and successful. I mean, even like, like Mark Ford was just like his expression was
I'm sure.
just what he did with
I'm
that
sure.
guitar was amazing. And some, like I said, some of the bass players I played with over the years,
Yeah,
there's a guy named
yeah,
Dan Knight who I play with, who's also a singer-songwriter, badass. And so I've never really sat down and go, I'm
yeah,
missing out on playing with
yeah,
that guy or this guy. It'd be fun to hang out and trade stories with some people,
yeah.
like the guys from, like King Crimson or, but I'd
Oh,
never do that
sure.
with, some of the people I grew up with. Like when I was playing with Mark Ford, I'd be backstage, we'd play some festivals and I'd be like, oh, I'm hanging out with Daka. And I used to, I used to listen to you guys when I was younger, or
Wow, that's great.
or this other band, like Twisted Sister. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
We're all eating dinner together. We're on this, not the same playing field, but we're in the same situation. So you're treated as an equal in some ways. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting to meet them not as a
yeah,
fan, but as another
yeah,
fellow musician.
yeah, yeah.
So like Rad or any of these bands I grew up with,
Hmm.
and
No doubt. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
funny you just mentioned dinner because I just when I was talking about Mr. Bungle before, I saw a picture. I think I follow
Mhm.
Dave Lombardo. I think it was. I follow Scotty and Dave Lombardo, Mike
Uh-huh.
Patton, and a bunch of people like of that ilk. But they
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
at that little festival. They were eating dinner. Somebody took a picture of all of them at dinner, and I'm thinking, holy shit! This whoever the fucking waiter is has no idea that they're waiting
It's
on
so
like some of
funny.
the greatest musicians in
Yeah.
rock history. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Dave Lombardo, for instance. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Scott Ian, Mike Patton,
Yeah,
Prince
no, yeah.
Bruce.
I
Like, get
mean,
out of here. Like, that's
some of these
nuts.
festivals,
It's like it's the
where you're
craziest
like
thing.
backstage with these people, because you're on the same festival and you're just hanging out and just having lunch. Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, there's so and so, and
Blows your
it's
mind,
cool.
right?
What's going on? You play with the Roots and like, these different bands that you grew up with, and I fell into some of these groups. Like I got to play with I used to be in this band.
Yeah,
It's kind of a jam band thing, but it's this guy, Fishbone, right? So Norwood Fisher has this band called Truly Disgracious.
of
And
course.
so it was kind of fun, just bringing all these guys together and get to meet him and hang out
Okay.
with him. And I was in a couple different bands with him, and he's such an amazing guy. Like I mean, he's a great
Crazy.
bass player, but just a human
Yeah.
being. Like it's just kind of fun sitting around and talking to him because Alex always calls him like the shaman, because he's just like he's so gentle, and when he talks, he's
Yeah.
soft, and you're just like, yeah, that's great. Nice, And we had George Clinton come in and do on a record I was
Yeah.
playing with his band, so it was kind of interesting. So
Oh,
I fell into a lot of cool
awesome.
shit, over the years. I
Awesome.
did a show with Todd Rundgren, you know,
Yeah.
so I can't complain.
So cool. Yeah. That's amazing, man. And you've been playing since you were 5. Okay. So when you first like started to get
hmm
gigs, where there were people of like that people would know, like popular
Um,
people, how old were you? Were you still
no,
a
not
kid? Like were you like in
necessarily
your
because
teens
I
when you were
used
playing
to live
with
in the
people that were like,
Midwest, so
famous,
I
so to speak?
slowly started moving my way out. You know what I mean? So I wasn't until I was
Mm,
in my
yeah.
20s or 30s, I started playing with more name people
Yeah.
because you're just not around it. I
Mm,
get to play with some good musicians and some amazing people, but I just kind of,
right.
it wasn't until later,
Yeah.
I that's, what's that? Yeah, music,
Yeah.
100%.
What
Yeah,
brought you out
yeah.
west?
I was
What
like,
was
I
it
can't,
music? Was
because I
it
had some,
music that brought you out west?
scholarships to go play in some
Yeah.
colleges back in Iowa, and I was like, screw it, I gotta go west, before it's too late. So I ended up in Arizona for a couple of years because my
Awesome.
parents relocated
Yeah.
from that part, and then I just moved my way out. And then I was in a band in Tucson that ended up getting signed to a publishing deal in San Francisco. So that's why I ended up in San Francisco. So, and that's when I got the opportunity to
Wow.
do that Todd Rundgren thing
Yeah.
because I was doing this international theater festival thing, and he was one of the people who
Awesome.
was donating to it. And it was my first time to go out of the country because we performed with him.
Oh, wow.
That's how we got the funding, and I ended up in South America for like a couple of weeks doing this in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Which,
Oh,
yeah, I was like, it's like, all right, this is cool.
oh,
And
you're like looking
again,
around. How the hell did I
which
get
was
here?
awesome, So
Yeah, that's really
oh
cool. So
yeah.
I bet he had some really cool stories. Did he tell you any stories about Guns N'
All I can
Roses?
say
Or no?
is that there's a lot of fun stories.
You can't really mention those stories, I guess.
That's what I love about it. It's kind of fun, like listening to all these stories. Like
Sure.
I had the opportunity to work with the keyboard player from The Who, and I did some sessions for him, and him telling me stories about Pete Townsend and
Oh, wow.
just like to sit down and just like talk to these people. It's almost more fun than the actual session
Awesome.
itself,
Yeah, right. That's got to be fun. Yeah, man. You learn all sorts of stuff and stuff you didn't know, and it's like really exciting.
Which I'm not going to repeat because it's not my duty to do, but it's just still kind of fun. I mean,
Right.
It's still kind of
No.
It's just it just makes you, oh, I'm doing this. How did I get here?
Yeah.
I remember I was going to say,
Yeah.
I just remember one time when I was on tour, I was in like
No, go ahead.
Spain, and I was driving through the countryside in this vehicle, and I like looking out and going, I got here from hitting things with pieces of wood. How did this is weird, So yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah. That's bizarre, right? You got to think about that.
Cool.
It's like so weird.
A lot of people save up for
like
years to do what I'm doing and getting paid to do. So yeah. I mean, I guess I never went to.
Are you self-taught, Dennis, or no?
Over the years, I just kind of jammed and played,
Wow.
and then I started learning how to read music in high school, but a lot of it was me just. I'm still not that great at it. It's funny because they'd play it, and I would just listen, and I would just like play it, like you know what I mean. And then I just kind of got through a lot of books that way, But as far as drum set playing, I started before that. So I just kind of, as I went on, just kind of figured it out, I guess. That's why I never really gave lessons, because I was like, I don't know where to start. Like, I do this, I don't know how I got here, but I somehow got here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's weird to think about, like, wow.
You just know how to do it,
If I had lessons, but I guess I just kind of became who I am today as a drummer because of my journey. Not necessarily because of the guidance of somebody, But I guess I had guidance through music,
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Last week I had, last week, I'm sorry, a couple of days ago, I had Dennis Grunling. He's, I don't know if you saw the show, but he's like a world-renowned blues harp player, and he's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. Probably one of the top three, blues harp players in the business, But I was really lucky to have him on. But he was talking about how he learned. Like he's self-taught also, and there's something to be said about that, because it's like, you're not necessarily, you don't read charts and you don't write music and stuff like that, but it's all coming from like inside. You just it's all feel. You just learned and kind of moved your way through the waters, just based on your own.
What people don't understand is like
your own
I
feel, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but
who don't play music, it's like I learned a lot about drumming through some guitar players and through bass players and how they played, and connecting with that bass player kind of helped my style. You know what I mean? And also some bass players I played with, like a young who's later passed, but his bass style, like, it was very melodic. And so to this day, I kind of when I play bass, he influences how I play. It's a cross between him and this guy named Keith Brinkley I've told you about. Like learning how, just by playing together, like he didn't like sit down and go, hey, try this beat. It's just like his influences of how he played kind of influenced me. I'm sure I probably influenced him a little bit, and that's the thing that I've learned over the years, like certain guitar players have kind of nudged me into music, or kind of just, I don't know, mentored me in a way that you wouldn't expect, that kind of helped shape who I am, So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you learn everywhere. I mean, it's just it's so vast, there's so much to learn.
The more you learn, the more
you know enough, there's more,
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
The more you learn that you don't know.
That's right. The more you learn,
You
the
know,
more you
being
learn that
always
you
open
don't know
to
what you
like,
think you know.
throwing it away and getting something new in, you know. I was just talking to my friend Jared Massey today about that. Like when I'm writing music, like
Yes.
sometimes I'll write this whole song and then it'll inspire something else and I'll throw the whole song away almost, but
Yeah.
it brought me to this song. And it's just like, it's so weird because I've done that so many times. I
That
mean,
section. Right. Right.
we have a song on our album, Alex and I.
Yeah.
It's called In Transmission, which is on the Batfarm record. The In the Belfry, we have
Hmm.
10 versions of that song with different lyrics, different directions. We've changed it, and it
Wow.
finally just ended up being that version of the song. You know, it's
Hmm.
so.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to just like let go sometimes
Yeah.
during your journey in
Yeah.
order to
That's
get the best product, or I don't want to say product
yes.
because I mean, at the end of the day, it becomes a product,
Yep.
but it's just like the best, I don't know, final,
Right.
what you're trying to get to.
Well, but as a
Hmm.
musician, though, like on your journey, like you're saying, on your journey as a musician, you probably wouldn't have been able to do that 5 or
Yeah.
10 years ago or 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Because you're learning all the time. So maybe the Dennis from 10 years ago wouldn't necessarily been able to do that
Yeah.
because maybe he wouldn't have patience to do the song 10 times or 15 or 20 times. But
Yeah.
now you've learned so much that it's like, okay, let's give each
Yeah,
other the
totally.
space.
But,
Let's
also
give
too,
it,
I'm always looking
what it
for
needs in
like
order to
this, I
grow.
was
You know
just
what I
saying
mean?
this too, is like,
So
you kind of want, if I can't be a fan of what I'm creating, it's not done yet. Like if I wouldn't have popped it on and listened to it myself, I'm just like, well, what's the point?
right.
You know, it's not like I'm just trying to write music just for me, but if I can't enjoy it,
Yeah,
then I can't
exactly.
imagine anyone else enjoying it. So I want to get to that point where I
Yeah,
feel good about it. Like I feel like, oh, cool, I didn't write that. It
yeah.
sounds like a song, And I've done that even years back, you know. No, nothing.
Right,
What
for sure.
were you gonna say?
Does Alex?
Oh, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry, man. Go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's not at all. I think you're
I think
real
it's a
time. So what were you
little
saying?
bit of a delay over here. So sorry about that. Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, like, when you and Alex are writing music, like, do you pretty much like let each other feel
No,
everything out,
it's
or
so
is it
loose
like
because
really
a lot of times
regimented
I
how you
just kind
guys
of write
write,
what
or
I'm
is it
feeling
very,
and
very
then I'll
loose?
hand it off and she'll kind of write what inspires her. And then we get
Yeah,
together and she'll sing on it and I'll maybe just kind of maybe push
yeah,
her to sing the best version of herself. We'll do like a lot of different takes and then we'll pick the best, well, what we call comping. So we're not like creating like we're not melodyning and doing all this stuff. We're just finding the best emotion. Like I'm not looking for the best performance. I'm looking for something that
yeah.
moves me, So that's what we're trying to do. Like find that, oh, that word you're saying, that was kind of cool. You wouldn't do that 100 times over, you
Right,
know what I mean? But you did it that one time. So, and then she'll come back and kind of learn that or feel it.
right.
So that's what we're looking for. But
Yeah,
then she does a lot of the vocal. I'll be like, oh, it needs harmonies, but I don't
yeah.
say what harmonies. She's just a harmony machine. Like I've never met anyone who can sing
Hmm.
like her, like in that
Yeah,
harmonies.
she
Like
hears.
she just, oh, how about this one? Oh, we'll try this kind of harmony and this, and she doesn't even know where it comes from, but it like all of a sudden it sounds like this orchestra,
That's
or it'll
awesome.
sound like Manhattan Transfer or whatever. But it's in the context of what we're doing, so it's different.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not, we're not doing
yeah,
a Manhattan Transfer song. Maybe it sounds like a Nine Inch Nails, Pink
yeah.
Floyd song, but she's doing Manhattan Transfer over it, and it's so it kind of has this different vibe. So it kind of, because I like to make
It
music.
worked. Right. I saw Alex when I first saw Alex. I was in a
Uh-huh.
band here in Florida called the Heldorados, and it was like a rock blues band, like a hard rock and blues band. And I kept on hearing about
Uh-huh.
this Alex Calise,
Yeah.
and I kept on hearing about her band, Wake State, and I would see them everywhere.
Hmm.
They're in the paper, whatever, the local, the rag paper, whatever it was, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going over there to see this band because they were playing
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
by my house. So I'm going today. So I went over there today, that day, and I told her that I was at a Starbucks in Coral Springs. They were outside, right at the outside of the Starbucks, and they were playing, and I just was like totally mesmerized by Alex because she just owned it. I mean, she was this little tiny thing. I don't even know how old she was, 15, 16, whatever, but this massive voice coming out of this little tiny thing. And I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. So like I I've been able to
Yeah, yeah,
luckily
yeah.
watch her progression from a little teenage thing to this, you know, formidable musician and writer and lyricist and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, for you, I'll say to
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
from somebody that knew her back in the day when she was just on the corner in Starbucks to where she is now, I think that you're a really lucky guy because she's
Yeah,
she's
no, it's why
unbelievable. She's a
that's
really
why
great
we've
musician,
collaborated
and
for all
you
these
know
years,
better
you
than
know. I
anybody.
mean, even though
You
she's
know?
busy doing other things and I'm busy doing other things, we've always come back together and just try to
Yeah.
keep writing music because what we write together, I'm really excited about. You know, it's like the band that,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
besides the band I'm doing with the Last
Yep.
Knife,
Yeah.
it's the band, dream band I wanted to be in when I was a kid, you know. And then like,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm happy for you that you're able to do that. That you have a like you
it's so hard to
each
find
other
it,
of you have a muse. You know what I mean?
you
That
know, and
musical
that's kind of why
muse,
we
which is
kept the band
amazing.
to us, you know, because it's
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, you end up in these big bands and everyone wants to collaborate and it doesn't, you're not always clicking, you know, you may click as musicians, but as writers, it doesn't always work that way. So that's
Yes.
why I haven't really tried to bring anybody in because I didn't want to cheat them from their
Right.
creative
Right.
energy, but I like what we're doing. So I didn't want to be like, no, you guys don't matter.
Right.
Like, so I'm like, well, and let's just kind of keep it here, you know, not that I'm not afraid of outside,
Yeah.
you know, influences, but, uh,
Right. Right. Well,
uh,
but there's an energy there. There's like
yeah,
a
and
trust and
it's
like a
hard. I mean, it's hard to
communication
find a
there
group
that
of
you
people that,
can't really
you
find
know, for us,
anywhere.
we're
You
like,
know.
you want to rehearse? Yeah, what are you
Pretty,
doing? Okay, let's go. You know, we just went off to rehearsal. It's so loose. And we live in
yep.
this apartment complex, and
Yeah,
she
it's
lives
loose.
with her husband
Yeah.
upstairs
Yeah.
from me. So yeah, she recently moved here a year ago. So now she can just like walk downstairs
Ah,
because
that's
I have
cool.
a studio in my house where I'm in right now. You can see some guitars,
Oh,
and I have
awesome.
a vocal booth that my friend Jared Massey built,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, everything here. And then I have another studio where we practice,
Nice.
and I have my drums mic'd there, so we can do live drums. So it's nice. We can come down here and just work on music. She'd like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go back upstairs.
Cool.
So yeah, it's so crazy.
Yep.
So
That's pretty
we can get
convenient,
a lot more
man.
done and kind of have a little more fun
That
with it.
is
You know,
great.
it's not like a chore. Oh, I gotta drive over there,
That's
try to find
awesome, man.
park. This is LA, try to find parking, and you know. So
Oh no, forget about that. Yeah, man. So you guys are like seconds away
yeah,
from each
yeah.
other. That's awesome. So even if you have
Or
like an
I
idea,
can
you're
send
like,
her like
oh,
a,
I
you
got to
know,
tell
something
Alex,
she
you know,
wants
go right up
and
there. Hey,
I'll
let me
come
tell
down
you
later and
this.
we'll sing over it or something. I'll lay like a cool idea, you know, or we'll collaborate on just some. Now we've been getting like we've been doing a lot,
Yeah.
even more collaboration, like in lyrics and melodies and stuff. Sometimes now, where she'll come down and it's not all her
Good.
responsibility now. Where you know, where we kind of do even more collaborating, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. What else is
Of
going on?
course.
I mean, you got anything else happening? I mean, we're kind of coming to the end of the show,
Uh,
but I just I wanted to ask, and what else is happening with you?
well, I'm just like, you know, I'm
Any
kind
other
of working my
projects that you're
way.
working on? Any
I'm
other
just
music?
starting,
Anything
you know,
like
I'm gonna
that?
start doing like a lot more drum videos and for myself to kind of, you know, kind of advertise me. People who
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, if you see me playing one style of music, you're like, oh, I guess that's the kind of drummer he is. And I'm like, to show people my range and just kind of start putting the word out there that I can do drum tracks. And so I'm gonna start doing home drum
Yeah.
tracks for people. That's kind of where I'm moving into. I'm really excited about
Awesome.
this Last Knife project,
Good.
which is a lot of fun because it's a whole different
Good.
world for me and it's another two-piece, which
Good.
is going to be kind of wild, where I might play some guitar on stage, maybe
Yeah.
some bass, because there's some loops and stuff. So I'm excited. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And
Wow.
we're just like, we
Awesome,
don't
man.
care. We're just
You're
writing
branching
songs.
out. I
Whatever
love it.
comes out, and whatever happens live will happen live.
Cool.
And then, you know, we're going to start mixing some of the new songs and the new record
Very nice.
we might just start releasing singles for Batfarm. Maybe just put a record together soon. And then, yeah,
Cool.
just, you know, I'm looking to maybe get back
Yeah.
on touring again. I've kind of been putting the word out for friends, you know, maybe sit in with some bands. But the side guy thing isn't always my cup of tea, but if you end up in a good band with good
Cool.
people, it's, yeah, I just,
Yeah. That's
they
awesome,
can
man.
find me,
Where can people
you know,
find
the
you if they
Facebooks
need
and
to
you
look
know,
you
the
up?
Instagrams, but you can also find, I have my own website, which is dennismorehouse.com. And then we have yeah, it's so easy. I mean, I was fighting for that. You know, there's 100
Convenient.
of us out there that play drums. And then we have the
Oh, shit.
batfarmband.com, which you
Yeah.
can find all the information there. And then soon it'll all start branching out, you know. But
Good, man. Good.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited for you, man. It's
Definitely.
awesome. I love the music that you're putting out. I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah.
And I love that you and
It's
Alex
always
are,
fun to work with
always
friends. And for me, it's
collaborating.
like she's like my best friend, one of my best
It's
friends,
really good, man.
or my
It's
best
really,
friend.
really
And
good.
I was actually her bride.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that she feels the same way, man. It's like when I had my interview with her, she was like,
It's so
she
funny.
just, she
I
goo
was
goo
her
gaga over Dennis.
bridesmaid
No,
for her wedding.
she really respects you a lot,
I
and
was,
it's
I
awesome.
guess, the man of honor. So that's how close we are. I had to give a speech and everything.
Nice.
It was fun. But
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
no, it was a blast. I loved it. I was like, I love
How
her
was it?
husband.
Was it
He's
like really
so
weird or
awesome.
what?
She found like the perfect guy for
Good,
her. He's not intimidated by what we do, and
good,
he's just a super
good,
smart man, and he's really good for her. And I'm just so
good.
happy. When I saw, I told her, like, if he didn't accept his proposal, I would
Mm-hmm.
have married him. You know. No,
Do you guys like? Did you
I
know
met him
him
after she
like in
started
the
dating
scene or
him. I
something,
was
or
like,
like how did
okay,
you
who are you
meet?
dating? I need to meet him. I'll
Uh,
see if he's a good guy. And then I met him.
right,
I was like, this guy's
right,
awesome. Like,
like the big brother.
yeah.
Right, right. Good. Awesome. It's funny.
Yeah,
She turned me on
exactly.
to
He
Reese
does.
Scruggs that I
A lot
interviewed,
like him.
and he looks like
He's a
Reese
tall
Scruggs.
Viking dude. He's got the red
He
hair.
does, right? You know
And
who
when you
that is,
see
right?
when you see the wedding photos or see them together, I mean,
Yes.
she comes up to like his
Yeah.
armpits or maybe low, because I think he's six,
Yeah.
4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 5, 6 or
She's like
7. I don't even
5 foot,
know.
probably
Yeah,
not
whatever
even,
it is.
right?
Yeah,
She's
she's a little
tiny.
taller, but she's small compared to all the people she
5'1".
hangs out with.
Oh,
So
really?
I was
She's
so happy.
small.
And we actually
Yeah.
performed at the wedding. So yeah, yeah. So her dad
Did you really?
is a
Oh, yeah.
fan of the
I saw
band,
a picture
and
of
I've
her in
known
the
him
dress, like
forever. And
singing or
so
something.
we played 3
That's
songs
pretty
of
cool.
Batfarm, and then
Mm-hmm.
he sings and plays guitar, and her husband plays guitar,
Nice.
and his brother is a badass drummer. He used
Really?
to play with the Red Elvises, and he plays with a bunch of different
Awesome.
people. And so I
Wow.
played bass.
Oh, get out of
So
here.
I
Oh, I love that
changed to
band.
bass. I played bass. Her dad played guitar and sang,
Mm-hmm.
and she played guitar and sang. And then her husband played guitar and he played drum. His brother played drums. So it was this family band.
Oh,
It was a blast. So we played like 4 or 5 songs. It was my first time to play bass
yeah.
live. I was like, yeah, this is
That's
fun.
Get out of here. Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, we got to get
I
that
want
to you.
to see that video, man. I'm dying to see that. I want to
So,
ask Alex about that.
yeah, so hopefully you get to see some
For
video.
real.
It's fun. Her dad's awesome.
Oh, really?
It was such a great. It was a perfect wedding.
That'd
Super
be
small.
awesome.
It was,
That sounds like you had a good time,
50
man.
people, 51 people, and so
Good.
perfect. It was great. So, on that note, I don't want to keep you too
Very
long,
cool.
but
Man.
I'll just keep. Yeah.
No, I don't mind at all, man. This is about you. It's about you. So, all right, man. Listen, I'm really
Yes.
happy to talk to you. I think this is the first time we've ever spoken at length.
Yeah,
We've spoken like a minute or two at a time, but not at length. So,
I'm
but I really
so
appreciate
happy.
you
It
coming
was
on
just a
the
lot
show,
of fun
man.
for me.
I was
So
so
I'm glad.
excited to have you on. So
Yes.
good, man. I'm so glad. Maybe some other time we'll do it again. Yeah, if you get
Great.
like a
Yeah,
whole
maybe
bunch
one
of
these
stuff
times
that you
I'll
want to
bring
talk about,
either
just let me know, man, and I'll put you right back
other
on.
project on. I'll bring my friend on, or we'll do a bat farm thing, and we'll have some fun with it.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Yeah. I'm trying to get, well, I'm not going to say it yet, but one of the people that I had on recently, I'm trying to get
Oh,
him
nice.
and another guy that I had on a long time ago sit together on the same interview.
No,
So,
do yet, of course.
yeah, it'll be
You
cool.
don't
I'll
want
do
to
like a
spill
little
the
thing,
beans
but
until it
anyway,
happens.
I can't really say anything about
Yeah,
it just yet.
maybe
But
I can work out
yeah,
my
I can't do
new
it.
puppet show,
Yeah.
or maybe
No, I don't want to do
plate
it.
spinning. Yeah, it's just like I've got this new plate spinning app that I
Yeah.
want to show off.
Whatever you got to do.
With a bunch of poodles and cats jumping through hoops. No. Yeah, we'll start it off here. We'll see how it works.
Before you go on America's Got Talent, you could do it on this show.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, that'd be
Blast. You
cool.
too. Take care of yourself.
All right, Dennis.
Okay.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great night, man. Thanks, bud. All right, you too. All right, man. Bye. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know how this works. No.
I'm just going to hang out for a minute and then close it
I
up.
hit an X. Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Just hit X. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, man. All right, Dennis Morehouse. Good guy, man. I love that guy. Listen, I'm so excited that I got to talk to him. I've never really spoken to him at length at all. and this is the first time I have. It was like by text or by phone or something, for a couple minutes here and there. But anyway, very happy that he was on the show. Awesome dude. I'll have him on again sometime. And so, listen, I have another show coming up in 2 days, and it's going to be with Brandon Santini. He is another blues harp player that I've got on. I had Jason Ricci on, I had Dennis Grundling on, and now I'm going to have Brandon Santini on. He's going to be on the 14th, so 2 days from now. And make sure you tell everybody about it. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's the Absolutely Live interview. My name is Greg.